Welcome to the desert!
The Sahara Desert is spread over the northern parts of Africa, including Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, Sudan, and others. An abiotic factor of the desert is temperature. The Sahara Desert was deemed as a climatic desert about 5 million years ago. Another one are the bodies of water. The permanent rivers in the Sahara are the Nile River and the Niger River. The Nile flows through Sudan and Egypt and then into the Mediterranean, while the Niger flows through Mali and Nigeria and then into the Gulf of Guinea. Another abiotic factor is rainfall. Thought a desert would never have rain, well, surprisingly enough, it does. Precipitation averages about 5 inches per year, with some areas receiving less than 1 inch of rain annually. If you're lucky, you may even be able to see snowfall in central massifs. Yes, snow brought to you by the Sahara Desert. Another abiotic factor is soil. The soils of the Sahara contain minimal organic matter and experience only slightly different horizons, meaning that the soil itself does not contain many biological organisms, but it does contain some nitrogen. Fixing bacteria, of course, everybody loves those.
Moving on to animals in the desert. One animal you probably think about when you think about the desert is the Sahara Desert camel. Camels store a large amount of fat in the humps on top of their backs. No, not water, that's a myth. The fat can be burned for energy when the camel is unable to locate any food. While most of us are searching for ways to burn off fat and slim up our bodies, camels are actually evolved by nature to carry extra fat around to survive. Another animal pertinent to the Sahara is known as the aerial gazelle, or the Dorcas gazelle. This animal is sleek and graceful. Many animals in the Sahara Desert prey on gazelles, so the Dorcas gazelle has evolved to avoid them on impulse. When a predator approaches, the gazelle's body will automatically jump. If the gazelle is forced to run, it can achieve an astounding 49 miles an hour. The last animal that I'll talk about is the scarab beetle. The scarab beetle was a holy symbol to the ancient Egyptians and has some impressive adaptability. These beetles make creative use of animal feces. They are able to subsist almost entirely on animal waste. There are several ways that scarabs can make use of the dung they find, depending on how flexible they feel about their living situations. Dung beetles can roll dung until it makes a ball shape and then push it home, or simply dig a new burrow next to a heap of dung to live in. Some dung beetles just burrow into the dung they find and make it into a home, chewing their way out when they get hungry. Nom nom!
Next, we will move on to native plants. A plant native to the Sahara is the African peyote cactus. The thickness of the stem aids the plant to hold back water for a relatively long period of time. The leaves of this plant are very touchy. What I mean is their leaves are very sharp because they have been reduced to spikes. These characteristics are very effective because it prevents evaporation of water from the leaves. Every time it rains, the African peyote cactus collects water, storing it in their thick stem, and until it rains again, that is all they survive on. Another plant is the date palm. They have great stems that allow for the plant to absorb and contain water. The date palm uses this special stem to spray water over the soil around it, and so the soil can absorb it.
The average
Precipitation
has increased because of the development of low pressure over ice sheets to its north. The Sahara Desert is very hot and extremely dry. It is one of the hottest regions in the world. The average temperature on cooler days are around 86 degrees Fahrenheit, and on the hottest days, its average temperature is around 122 degrees Fahrenheit. The hottest day ever recorded is 136 degrees Fahrenheit. What is considered the best time of year to visit is when it isn't at its coolest, but it isn't at its hottest either. The best months to visit would be around springtime in April and May, because this is when temperatures are bearable. If you go when it is too hot, you may become easily dehydrated, and our bodies are not used to the dry and hot air. Also, this is the best time to visit because in the depths of the Saharan winter, especially December and January, nighttime temperatures can fall below freezing. Some suggested gear and supplies to make your trip more enjoyable is I would bring shorts, bathing suits, the less clothes the better, tank tops, crop tops, flip-flops, and a lot of water to stay hydrated. Snacks like fruit so that the sun doesn't drain your energy, sunscreen so your skin doesn't burn, and sunglasses.
Although the desert looks nothing but barren and dry, there are quite a few activities to pass the time by when visiting. Notice you'll find more civilization around the Sahara's rare but vital bodies of water. The main lifeline for the desert is the Nile River in Egypt, where you can take a cruise that lets you disembark at the ancient Egyptian temples of Luxor and Karnak, with trips into the desert to visit the Giza pyramids and the Sphinx. You can access the desert from any of 11 countries, but most expeditions to the desert start from the city of Ouarzazate in Morocco. You can also start your desert tours on camels from Timbuktu, since those camel trains are well established and organized regularly. ATV and four-wheelers are available for recreational activity as well.
Some threats to this biome are droughts, because it dries up the water holes, wildfires, when the temperatures get too hot, they alter the landscapes and eliminate the slow-growing plants and trees. Also, oil and gas production disrupts the sensitive habitat of the desert. Lastly, there is a thing called desertification, which is the gradual transformation of habitable land into desert. Moving on, there are many endangered species in the desert. To name a few are the African wild dog, which is number 1 in the world's most endangered mammals, the black rhino, which is listed as critically endangered, and the bear poppy, which is a plant and it's at risk for eventual extinction. There are also many keystone species in the desert. A keystone species is a species on which other species in the ecosystem largely depend. One keystone species in the desert is the hummingbird. Hummingbirds pollinate many varieties of native cactus and other plants. In areas of the Saharan Desert, with few hummingbirds, invasive species such as bufflegrass have taken over the ecosystem. There is also a fear of climate change, with global warming causing the desert to become too hot and dry to support life. But there is a solution. One is pumping seawater underground the Sahara Desert, which may counteract the rising sea levels and promote vegetation amidst high temperatures, which in turn reduces the warm air streams that would otherwise result in eastern superstorms or hurricanes.
This biome is globally important because of the mineral wealth. Deserts can be found on every single continent, and even though they lack water, they play an important role in helping animals, humans, and the environment.
Enjoy your time at the desert! We'll see you there!